Have you ever felt that sharp sting of being wronged? You know, that deep sense of injustice when someone seems to take something precious from you.
Oh, absolutely. Or the flip side, right? That real satisfaction when someone gets the credit they deserve or they give you exactly what you needed.
Exactly. They're such powerful human reactions, aren't they? We praise, we blame, we instinctively try to balance the scales.
We really do.
But what if?
Yeah.
What if those very strong reactions are actually missing something deeper, a more profound truth about how life really unfolds?
That's a compelling question. I mean, what if fundamentally no one can really give or take anything from you unless it's already destined by your own karma?
Hmm.
Now, that sounds a bit radical, maybe even fatalistic at first glance, but it's not quite that. It's more a spiritual understanding that people, circumstances, they're not the ultimate source. They're more like instruments.
Instruments.
Yeah, the wisdom traditions have a word for it. Nimittas, messengers, you could say. They're the means through which destiny kind of ripens.
Okay, I like that. Messengers through whom destiny ripens. So today we're taking a deep dive into exactly that, this spiritual idea that the people around us, they aren't the ultimate doers in our life story.
Right. They're part of a much bigger script, helping bring about what's already karmically lined up for us.
And for this deep dive, we're drawing primarily from the teachings of Sri Ramana Maharshi, looking closely at his collected talks.
Yeah, his insights are incredibly profound on this. And we'll also weave in some complementary wisdom from, cornerstone texts like the Bhagavad Gita and other traditions that echo this theme.
Our aim today, really, is to help you maybe shift your mindset a little. Imagine moving beyond that immediate reaction, the blame or the praise, and finding a deeper inner peace instead, a kind of calm that isn't so easily shaken by what happens on the outside.
Exactly. Understanding this perspective might just transform how you relate to everything life throws your way.
So let's unpack this.
Right.
Where do we start? Maybe with the idea of destiny itself, the script.
Makes sense, because when we talk about destiny, it's easy to think of it as some, external force just pushing us around.
Right, predestination.
But that's not quite how someone like Sri Ramana Maharshi saw it. He was very clear. He said, free will and destiny are ever existent. Destiny is the result of past action. It concerns the body.
Okay, concerns the body. That's interesting. So destiny is linked to our past actions, our history.
Precisely. It's the fruit of seeds we've already sown. It's not arbitrary.
Yeah.
He points out that free will and destiny actually coexist. Destiny is the unfolding consequence, the ripening of those past choices and desires.
Even things that seem totally random.
Apparently so. He suggested that even things forgotten by you now are bearing fruit in due course. So maybe nothing's truly random. There's this intricate karmic history playing out.
Wow. So our present circumstances are shaped by the past. But then what about free will now? Does it still matter? Or is it just an illusion?
No, it definitely matters. Free will exists in the present moment. We absolutely have the choice in how we act now. But the situation itself, the stage upon which we act, the opportunities, the challenges, those are often the results of past karma ripening. Our free will comes into play in how we respond to those situations.
Ah, I see. So the response creates new karma.
Exactly. It shapes the future. So free will operates within the framework that destiny sets up. It's how we navigate the script.
Okay, that helps. Which leads us to a really core point here.
Yeah.
This idea of individual doership, or rather the illusion of it.
Right. The Bhagavad Gita puts it so directly. You are not the body, that you are not therefore the karta, the doer.
That's a huge statement. If we're not the body, then that feeling we all have, I am doing this, I achieved that, I failed at this, that's a misconception.
Fundamentally, yes. From this higher perspective, actions are said to go on automatically.
Automatically, like breathing.
Sort of, yes. Think about it. Your heart beats, food digests. You don't consciously do those things in an egoic sense. They happen through the body. The teaching suggests there's a larger purpose to our birth, a trajectory that will be fulfilled whether you will it or not. It doesn't mean we become passive puppets, but that our personal ego's plans are just one small part of a much bigger energetic flow.
Okay, but hold on. This sounds... Well, it sounds really challenging for most people to accept. If I'm not the doer, what about responsibility? Doesn't this just let everyone off the hook?
That's a really common reaction and totally understandable. Our whole society is built on individual agency and responsibility.
Right.
But this teaching isn't about denying responsibility for actions. It's about shifting where we locate the source. The point is realizing the doer isn't this limited ego, this I that identifies with the body and mind.
So the real self is beyond doing or not doing.
Exactly. Actions happen through the body-mind, but the attachment to the idea, I am doing this, that's the illusion that creates bondage. When that illusion fades, actions can still happen, perhaps even more effectively, but without that heavy ego attachment. Think of the Gita's emphasis on acting without attachment to the results.
Acting without attachment. Okay, and this ties right back into our main theme today. If we're not the ultimate doers, then what about other people in our lives?
Ah, yes. This is where the idea of nimittas comes in so powerfully, instruments.
Right.
Ramana Maharshi observed that even big structures like society or the state are just tools in the hands of the power that prompts actions, even things like punishment or justice being carried out.
So systems, too, not just individuals.
Yes. And it even applies to spiritual help. Maharshi said, the self manifests externally as guru when occasion arises. Otherwise, he is always within, doing the needful. There's this underlying divine power, this Sakti, that, as he put it, draws people from all parts of the globe to this center, meaning to a teacher or teaching.
So a higher power is orchestrating things.
In this view, yes, God, or the universe, or whatever term you prefer, has his own plan, and that will certainly work itself out. So when someone helps you, or crucially, when someone hurts you,
They're instruments.
they're instruments of that larger plan and also instruments for your own karma to unfold. They become the conduit through which your destiny, good or bad, comes to fruition.
That's a massive perspective shift. If someone really wrongs me and I try to see them as just an instrument, how do I deal with the actual pain, the anger? Does it mean I just suppress it?
No, not at all about suppression. The emotions are real, they arise in the body-mind and need to be acknowledged, felt.
Okay.
What this understanding offers is a change in where you direct the ultimate, let's say the ultimate charge of the feeling, instead of locking onto the person, the instrument, with deep resentment.
Right, holding that grudge forever.
Exactly. You start to recognize, maybe slowly, that the fundamental cause was the ripening of your own karma. The person was just the delivery mechanism. It doesn't mean their action was right on a human level or that there aren't consequences. But on a deeper spiritual level, it frees you from being emotionally chained to them as the ultimate source of your suffering. You can feel the pain, process it, but hopefully not get consumed by it indefinitely.
That makes sense. It shifts the focus inward. Okay, so given all this, the obvious question is, can we fix our bad karma? Do enough good deeds to cancel out the past mistakes.
Right. We want to manage our karmic balance sheet.
Yeah.
But Ramana Maharshi had a pretty strong warning about that approach. He used this great analogy. The more you prune a plant, the more vigorously it grows. He said the more you rectify your karma, the more it accumulates. His advice: find the root of karma and cut it off.
Whoa. So trying to fix karma actually adds more karma. How does that work?
Because the effort to rectify usually comes from the ego, from that same sense of, I am the doer, I need to do this good thing to get a good result, or I need to fix my past.
So the intention is still ego-driven.
Exactly. It reinforces the very sense of doership that is the root of karma, good or bad. It just creates more entanglement. The real solution isn't endless fixing, but transcending the whole idea of being the individual doer, going to the root.
So it's not about becoming passive or stopping good actions.
Not at all.
But changing the inner stance. Acting without that, I am doing this for a result, attachment.
Precisely. It's about understanding that actions are flowing through you as part of that larger cosmic dance, rather than being initiated by the separate, limited ego. That shift allows actions to happen without creating new knots, new karmic binds.
Okay. This really changes how we see blame and praise then, doesn't it? If individuals aren't the ultimate doers.
Then blaming them or praising them becomes, well, an act based on an illusion. It's our mind's interpretation, not the ultimate reality.
You mentioned a story earlier. Maharshi shared one from a text called the Panchadasi.
Yeah.
About the two pilgrims.
Yes, it illustrates this point so starkly. Two young men go on a pilgrimage. Sadly, one dies. The survivor heads home and asks another traveler heading that way to deliver the news.
Okay.
But the messenger gets the names mixed up. So he tells the family of the man who died that their son is alive and well, and he tells the family of the living son that he tragically passed away.
Oh no, so the wrong families.
Exactly. The family whose son was actually dead rejoiced, completely happy. The family whose son was alive grieved terribly, plunged into sorrow.
Wow. And Maharshi's point from this.
His point was crystal clear. Pain or pleasure has no reference to facts, but to mental conceptions. Jivasrishti is responsible for it.
Jivasrishti, the individual's creation.
Yes. Our own mind, our interpretation, creates our experience of suffering or joy, often completely independent of the external facts. Think how much energy we waste on blame and prayers based purely on our mental concepts.
That's incredibly profound. And this detachment from external facts and internal reactions, this is what a realized sage, a jnani, embodies.
Completely. An ordinary person, an jnani, sees a jnani and, identifies them with their body, their actions. Oh, look what the jnani is doing.
Right. We see the physical form.
But the jnani knows the truth. They know, as Maharshi said, the self cannot be the doer. Their core advice is often find out who is the doer, and the self is revealed.
So a jnani isn't really affected by calamities, even though their body might be going through things.
That's the understanding. Maharshi explained that a jnani is not himself aware of these activities, like eating, talking, whereas others are aware of his activities. The actions belong to the body, the unfolding karma, but not to the self, which is their true identity.
How is that even possible?
Yeah.
To be detached while things are happening to your body?
It's because the identification, I am this body, I am this mind, has completely dissolved for them. There's no longer that central ego node claiming ownership of experiences, taking pride in praise, or feeling stung by blame.
So the actions are just playing out.
Yes, it's like the remaining karma, the prarabdha, is just running its course through the body-mind mechanism, but without anyone inside claiming it or getting entangled by it. The jnani rests as the witnessing self.
There's that amazing story about Ramana Maharshi himself, isn't there? When someone was publishing negative things, scandals about him.
Oh yes, a devotee was upset, concerned about these disagreeable statements.
And Maharshi's reaction?
Apparently he just laughed. He said something like, if he cares to publish books containing scandals of me, and if he makes money by their sale, it is really good. He is doing me a very good turn.
That's just unbelievable detachment. Shows praise and blame just didn't stick. They couldn't touch that inner peace.
Exactly. For the jnani, even their remaining karma, their prarabdha, is described as bhoga hetu. It only leads to experience, like watching a movie unfold, and not bandha hetu, meaning it doesn't create new bondage or attachment. It's just the unwinding of the film reel.
So for us, trying to integrate this, when someone criticizes us or even praises us excessively, the practice is to remember it's not hitting our true core self. It's hitting the ego, the body image.
That's the direction, yes. Recognizing that the reaction comes from identifying with the temporary, the constructed self, which brings us right to the path towards inner peace, dissolving that very ego.
And Ramana Maharshi really hammered this home, didn't he?
Yeah.
That suffering comes from unwanted thought and that false notion, I am the body.
He put it so beautifully simply. Your nature is peace and happiness. Thoughts are the obstacles to realization.
That's incredibly liberating. Peace isn't something out there to acquire.
No, it's already here. He said peace is always present. Get rid of the disturbances to peace. This peace is the self. It's about removing the clouds, not creating the sun.
It sounds simple, but boy, it doesn't always feel simple. If peace is always here, why is it so hard to access most of the time? It feels pretty disturbed.
Oh, the disturbances, that's the key. Our minds are constantly churning, creating stories, identifying with thoughts, feelings, roles, possessions. I am this, I want that, I hate this.
Yeah, the mental noise.
Exactly. We're conditioned to look outside for peace and happiness. That constant outward seeking fueled by desire and aversion, that's what veils our true nature. The moment you start letting go of the grasping, stop identifying with every single thought.
You uncover what was already there.
You begin to, yes. It's like the mud settling in water, revealing the clarity that was always present underneath the turbulence.
So how do we actually do that? How do we remove the disturbances, dissolve this false ID?
Maharshi primarily taught two powerful interconnected paths. The first is self-enquiry, atmavichara.
Atmavichara.
It's a direct investigation, turning attention inward, asking, who am I? Not expecting an intellectual answer, but tracing that feeling of I back to its source.
Find out who makes the inquiries, and the self will be found, he said.
Precisely. Instead of chasing thoughts outwards, you seek wherefrom the I rises, and the other thoughts will disappear. It cuts the root of thought.
And he saw this as a very comprehensive path, right? Inclusive of faith, devotion, everything.
Absolutely. He said this inquiry includes faith, devotion, jnana, yoga, and all. It's not just intellectual, it's a deep reorientation of your entire being.
Okay, so self-inquiry is one path. What's the other main one?
The other is complete surrender bhakti, letting go entirely to a higher power. Maharshi presented it as a clear choice. Either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a high power to help you, or investigate into the cause of misery, go into the source, and merge into the self.
Two distinct approaches.
But leading to the same goal. He said, either way, you will be free from misery. And he offered great reassurance for the path of surrender. God never forsakes one who has surrendered.
So for someone listening, how would they know which path resonates more? Inquiry or surrender? Are they mutually exclusive?
Not at all mutually exclusive. Often they blend. Think of them as two sides of the same coin, dissolving the ego.
Okay.
If you feel a strong pull towards devotion, towards trusting a divine will, maybe surrender feels more natural. If you have a more analytical, investigative mind, perhaps self-inquiry calls to you more strongly.
But both aim to dismantle that false sense of I.
Exactly. Both lead to letting go of the separate self, and ultimately the result is the same. As Maharshi described it, when that wrong identification ceases, there will be peace and permanent untellable bliss.
Untellable bliss. He used that analogy of water returning to the ocean, didn't he? Evaporating, raining down, flowing in rivers.
Yes, only finding true rest and peace when it finally merges back into its source, the ocean.
And that peace, that bliss, it's not just a happy feeling that comes and goes.
No, it's described as the inherent nature of the self. Unshakable, not dependent on whether things outside are going well or badly. It's the stillness beneath the waves, the equanimity that arises when the ego's grip loosens.
So pulling it all together, understanding this idea that people are instruments, that blame and praise are illusions tied to the ego, that destiny unfolds based on past karma. This understanding offers a real liberation.
It really does. And again, it's not about being passive or fatalistic. It's actually empowering. It's about realizing your true identity is beyond the drama, beyond the temporary play of events.
It allows you to let go of that heavy burden of constant reaction.
Exactly. To stop being tossed around by the waves of circumstance and instead find that deep, abiding peace within.
Which leads us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. Consider this. If the very desire you feel right now to understand this, to seek this peace, if that desire itself is just another ripening karmic seed you planted long ago.
A seed guiding you towards recognizing the self that's already here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If that's the case, what really needs to be done, other than to simply